I'm just gonna give an extremely detailed version of the guide through video. Uh, okay, so here's the Volibear builds, top and jungle. Over here we have the wiki, so if you want to take a look at the numbers and like maybe theorize items or whatever, all the information's here. And then if you want to look at the current OPGG builds, there's another link here. Currently got the Rod of Ages Navori tech going on with Jack of all trades. Haven't tried that out yet, but interesting. And that's only for top lane. What the hell is this? 53%? Oh, cool. Interesting. But focusing more on jungle is probably my goal. So I am not gonna test that out anytime soon. And anyway, and then there's my Twitch, YouTube, a very cool PowerPoint. Go ahead and click on it, figure it out yourself if you are interested. It's pretty outdated now. This is something I used to link in lobbies for fun, I guess. But don't really need to tell Masters players how to play the game anymore. So they pretty much know what the hell they're doing. Have decent macro and team fighting. So I stopped linking that PowerPoint. And then here's a rough game plan of not relying on your teammates to play correctly, which generally means that you should always go for higher percentage plays by relying on yourself more. Like, don't do anything sketchy, because I used to play like a psycho and just gank, like hoping my Blitzcrank or Nautilus hits a hook, but then they miss it, and then I waste my time, and then so I only gank like when when they're like 50% HP or they're already fed or doing very well or they're pushed under their tower. Just nothing stupidly sketchy. And then there's the general idea of like the early game, making sure I farm, get gold, and snowball my lead. And then after like 14 minutes when the plates fall down, focus even more on the getting priority in lanes and objectives. Okay, explanation of runes and items. So, what the fuck is this? Aftershock Volibear. Well, actually, let me give you a little walkthrough of why I have that thing. Because as most people know, this a more PTA with celerity and water walking has been the main go-to build. But anyway, let's take a look at my OPGG real quick to explain my reasoning. So this was a game. Okay, why did I go Grasp of Undying here? It's because I was thinking Skarners are building it in their jungle, so I was like, why the hell can't I build it? Especially if I wanted to play a more tanky variation. And so I tried it out, but I think Aftershock is still better because I like it's cool that I got 100 extra HP, but I really needed resistances in this build because the resistances came in too late around third item. But otherwise, the first two items are very good because of what they're playing into. It's not that they're necessarily good in every situation, I found out, but like Cosmic Drive and Warmonks is interestingly good into certain comps that have maybe a lot of damage, like Lee Sin, but not a lot of sustain. So I noticed the Rengar and then Lee Sin. So my goal for this game was actually to just be annoying, a very annoying frontline, knowing that if I went Bruiser or I would, if I was behind, I'd just get one shot. So to mitigate that risk, I decided to play more further back. So the idea behind this Cosmic Drive build is actually that you're more E focused. like during the maybe when you're looking for prio, you're just poking them with E, actually. You're not engaging, you're just waiting for them to engage. And in the meantime, I'm just using Scorch Claw and the extra AP to just whittle them down as much as possible. And then when they engage, or when they try to poke me down, I would have that HP and movement speed to kite them out better. And so that's the explanation for this build. And if I did actually buy, I mean, use Aftershock, there was this one scenario where like it would give me the resistances to survive the initial burst. Aftershock will proc once you use the Q. And then like I could walk away and heal 4 mocks, and then I can re-engage actually if I wanted to. But another thing about this build is it's actually W max. It's a W max build because of the focus on HP. And during fights, the W will sustain you while the assassins try to burst you down. And that will take longer with the more points in W you have. Because I'm not trying to engage, I'm not putting points in Q. This is a very weirdly specific build into, I guess, assassin melees. And then explanation for Nashers. This was a very cool build I saw from J Warrior. If you don't know him, he was a Grandmaster Nashers one trick. But it was so very cool build. But I put my own little spin on it because of I guess what I think is more, because this is I'm optimizing the build for certain scenarios, and this build I wanted to optimize for melee specifically, damage versus melees. And an example of this would be this game over here. I built Nashers versus this comp because of their Udyr and Ornn. I essentially just was able to DPS down the Ornn down to hell while just ignoring their backline and leaving it for so I can kill their frontline while my backline can while their frontline can't really kill me is the idea here. But if I were to build like Bruiser or Cosmic Drive, that wouldn't be as effective because I wouldn't have the damage to actually kill the Ornn or Udyr. Also, the interesting thing about all of these builds is that they all have their own strengths. So Nashers actually has probably the fastest wave full clear out of all the builds. Like you will be able to clear Dragon and Rift Herald or whatever objective. You do a lot of damage because of the ratios on Volibear's passive. Like combined with Nashers and Volibear's passive, this is probably his strongest first item in terms of DPS. And then the reasoning for the the green jungle item is that the longer I live, maybe like because it gives like 180 to 300 shielding or something, scaling by level, it'll probably give me an extra 2 autos or something. And I really value that extra sustain or shielding in these fights because of how squishy it is in comparison to all the builds. And then if you're able to survive a little bit longer, that Rift Maker will kick in and you will be able to Omni-Vamp and sustain for even longer. But you really have to survive it any initial burst. And then the reasoning for Abyssal Mask here is in the scenario where you're facing like a tank that's building a lot of magic resist, like Ornn or Udyr here, it will shred 20% of their. Let me search it up. I think reduce 20% of their magic resistance, and even give you some magic resistance back. So it's basically a tank's version of penetration, magic penetration. And load. Okay, let's move on to the damage versus ranged. So the thing about this, uh, the Sundered Sky, is that it's instead of using what's it called, Cosmic Drive or Nashers, the sustain that Sundered Sky gives you is very strong against ranged champions. So I actually tried it out over here, for example. They didn't. They had a cart that stopped. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, but anyway, they had a lot of ranged here, and Sundered Sky would give me that. I guess I'd be in their face for longer, whereas Cosmic Drive and Nashers is more melee oriented. It's easier. It's a lot easier to be kited. How do I put this? It's like you won't get as many autos off with Nashers. And then the issue with Cosmic Drive is that you just don't have the damage to like be an actual threat. Where like Cosmic Drive is more effective with like sure it's good at poking, but like in the time of when you actually need to be a frontline and engage in their faces, Sundered Sky outperforms Cosmic Drive. And range champions are always far more uncomfortable when you're in their face, and that's why Sundered Sky is better here. And combined with a Dead Man's Plate, which gives the movement speed and armor to I actually consider Dead Man's Plate to be a damage item, a damage utility item. Like I actually found out recently by watching Xpetu, this Shen main who like who likes to rush this first item. He explains that it basically has an extra 20 AD stat on it that is not actually seen. Like this gold efficiency is fake because of the passive, the unique passive here. In between each auto, you're actually generating maybe like 14 stacks of momentum, like every auto. And that will deal an extra, whatever the heck, 20 damage. Well, depending on which champion, but is roughly around 20 damage on hit. And this extra sticking power and chasing power, the slow resist is also very nice against the ranged. In case, like, say they have an Ash, for example, that slow resistance, or like against Karthus with his W, those slows matter a little less, and it just feels nicer. Okay, Deadman's is good against ranged, trust me. But and then for the third item, Sterix is also very good, very strong team fighting item actually. Because while you're getting focused down, you're in their front line. You're in the front line. You're in the face. You have an extra. You get the extra AD damage too, so you can hit them for more. And the tenacity is great. Tenacity is great. And then the shielding that lets you survive for even longer in their face, so you can even proc more Sundered Sky, proc more W's on Volibear, a lot more healing. You do a lot. It's very good for against range too. And I'll explain that for the top lane builds later too, because I actually learned from jungle that it could be applied against range top laners. But anyway, as for my reasoning on the runes, so I've always liked. There was a time when I played Aftershock Cosmic Drive Volibear solely, but the reason why I dropped it was because of the lack of damage. But there are still scenarios where this Aftershock is very good. At least it feels that way to me. I still need more. I still need to test it more. But it's a. This is a. I guess it's testing. But anyway, I think it's good. I'll try it out more, and then if it doesn't, I'll probably update the guide again. this is probably a more questionable one that I feel that people might not like, but or is easy to be debated, I guess. And then, okay, so reason why I go triumph and cut down here is that you're not going to finish people off. You're not the coup de grace, because coup de grace does extra damage the lower HP they are. You're not gonna get there. And then with last stand, you're always super healthy with warmogs, and you're always not gonna engage until like they're maybe lower after poking them down with E. So cut down is the best one here because if as long as they're above, they actually buff this rune. As long as they're above 50% HP, you will do increased 8% damage. And then the reason for triumph is the extra healing when someone dies during, and the extra gold is just nice. I just like the gold, I guess. Helps you spike faster. Usually, most games I get around 300 extra gold from it, so it's great. And sometimes the triumph will save you in the middle of a fight. And this also scales from HP, and if you combine it with Warmogs, it's very nice. So that's a utility tank build, and then reason for why I don't go celerity and water walking and instead the what's it called? I forgot what it's called, but the boots, the magical footwear, and the other cosmic insight. It's because of this reduces your flash cooldown by I guess about 50 seconds or something like that. And if you're engaging into ranged, you can flash Q them in a lot of fights. And combined with Ionian boots, I think it gets reduced a little bit more. It also helps with your smite cooldown, so you can smite more things. Helps you clear more faster. It's a tempo rune. And so not having to spend 300 gold on the I guess the magical footwear is very nice too, because then you can prioritize other first items like Nashers or Sundered Sky. And the main reason I guess is that I'm if you're playing Nashers, you're full clearing a lot of the time, and you're just gonna be hitting camps. I guess it helps with discipline because you're not going for stupid ganks. You're going for ganks that will be easy and work out. And I guess sometimes when there's not a lot going on in games and there's a more neutral state, the celerity and water walking is more for like I guess if there are scenarios where it helps you force ganks easier, but like in a scenario where nothing happens and you're just full clearing too, like it just you just scale better with the boots. Like this is more mid game oriented, I guess. Celerity and the water walking is like certainly much better at snowballing, but if you don't snowball, it just doesn't feel as good to me. Well, this is just my playstyle. I prefer these two. More flash cooldowns than the mid game. I mean, less flash cooldown, so you can flash more. I mean, and sometimes if you're playing the Nashor's build, you're actually better off not going Ionian, I think, because if they do have Tenacity, you want to be able to I mean, if they do have CC, you want the Tenacity so that you can auto more and heal more with Riftmaker. But in exchange, you have less flash cooldowns and less smite. So having the cosmic insight with the 18 summoner spell haste will give you some of that flash cooldown more too back and smite cooldown because usually I would be building Ionian, but so I'm more used to having more flashes than that enemy to carry. And then after, okay, and then let me explain the other section. What damage can you not avoid? So this is for like maybe the third, sometimes for the third, fourth, or fifth. That I mean, it's not every game. It's not every game that you're gonna be building. Uh, what's it called? Abyssal Mask or Spirit Visage. Sometimes you'll want Frozen Heart against like auto attackers that have on hit auto attackers, and then or sometimes you'll want Randuins against crit. So like the third, these third items here are very up to change. But the only thing that probably won't change is this one, Sterix. Sterix is probably an always for this build. And then for fifth item, you can go for more, I guess, Magic Shield or whatever the heck. Just up to you, I guess. I do prefer, what's it called? Kyanic Recurn later in the game than Spirit Visage, just because of how fast fights end. The extra shielding is actually, like, you probably won't have the opportunity to W heal as often. So in order to stop getting burst, the Kyanic Recurn will probably give you the extra shielding to help you survive long enough. Because damage is so insane later in the game. Like if there's a brand just blowing up my team, you're not gonna be able to Spirit Visage uh, the brand. Like we're gonna do W him twice while his entire team is on your face. I don't know. It's just not likely. Whereas Kinetic Recurrent is, oh, you can tank maybe like two of his abilities before you go in, which is hella nice. Anyway, it also scales with HP. So this is my reasoning for the jungle portion. I hope I covered everything. Yeah, okay. And then for the top builds, so let me explain what this is. The auto traders, spell traders. This is, so this guide originally was more oriented toward top lane. And so let me go to the matchup wikis. So since it was more oriented toward top lane, I kind of categorized every single champion into, based off their items and playstyle, what they were more likely to do. So in my eyes, a Yasuo, Tryndamere, Trundle, to me, they're all pretty much the same type of champion, where they focused a lot in autoing and for the early game, of course, most of all of their damage comes from autos. Oh well, this is probably different now since it's an AP Nasus build, but some of these things might be outdated. But the general idea was that I categorized everything, and then I categorized Aatrox into like a spell traders, like a very quick. He's more of a quick Q trader, and then he just runs away. He just kites you from far away. Same with Gangplank. Garen, he spins on you for a little bit, and then very short bursty, and just running away. And the longer ones, spell traders long. They want like they just run you down. They will keep the longer the fight goes, the better it is for them, kind of thing. Like they won't stop trading you once they get going. So I categorize them as long spell traders. And then there's the tanks, and they focus more on health, so I categorize them as health tanks. And then the resistance tanks, where they focus more on resistances for their tankiness. And then finally, there's the zoning autos, the most hated ranged top laners that just poke you down from far away. And then using that categorization, it made it easier for me to figure out what runes to go and what items to build to be more, I guess, to have a more optimal setup to make myself have an easier lane to impact the game afterward. Because this is all like I guess knowledge beforehand helps. like the preparation helps. And then the reasoning for why I would build I guess grasp against these is that grasp is extremely easy to proc against these kinds of champions that I categorized. And then the I guess the sustain reasoning. I mean, you don't always have to go second wind if you're confident you're gonna win. You can just greed for maybe one of the. You can greed for conditioning. You can greed for. I guess revitalize is something you probably wouldn't want to change because of the shielding from Winter and Eclipse. This is a more shielding oriented build, and I'll explain uh, more. So with the Winter build, the reasoning for the mana flow is that it's it's very nice when combined with the extra mana from Winter, and you'll need some mana regen early before 20 minutes where everyone gets a blue buff. And if you don't have that mana regen, it's really gonna suck, especially with how many spells you're casting. And then with the ability haste, you're really just going crazy with the Q, W, and E. So, let me explain. Yeah, shield bash. Shield bash, you shouldn't. I mean, come on, this is a shield build. You get extra damage, just take it. It's good. As for my reasoning for why I'm going Eclipse as a top laner into melees is I guess I was inspired by this Poppy where they were building Eclipse and Fimbulwinter, and I just really like the short trading pattern. This is a very short trading build. Like you chip them down a little bit and then you walk away. And thanks to Volibear's Q as a top laner, you're able to, I guess, forcibly stop trades if you use your Q last. Like, or I mean even first, like, cause you can once you just Q, you hit them, you stun them, you proc Eclipse, walk away. You just keep going in and out with your Q while short trading. Well, this is in comparison to the other people's favorite builds currently, which is, I guess, Rod of Ages or Nashor's top lane. It's a very extended trading pattern. Like, you want to keep autoing, and you want to keep autoing them and autoing them. But the issue with that playstyle is, I guess, it's very hard to learn. And since I'm focusing more on jungle anyway, I just think it's easier for me to just run Eclipse because it's actually fine. Eclipse feels good for me at least. Like that 6% max health. Is it max health damage? Let me check again. I actually do a lot of research on each of these items before I choose them. Hello? Oh, wait, it's over here. Okay. So Eclipse does what? 6% max HP, and it also gives you a lot of shielding that scales with 80. I mean, it doesn't have to scale. It's already very nice regardless. Every 6 seconds. Yeah. So I really like that maximum HP portion because it just scales better later in the game. Like, imagine if you're going Iceborne Gauntlet first item, like it just feels fucking bad that once they get later into the game, they just have naturally more HP, right? That's Iceborne scales off your own base AD, and it just doesn't do as much damage. Like, say you're facing a Scion, right? And then you have fucking Iceborne Gauntlet. That's not gonna do shit to all of his HP. But if you have Eclipse, that scales with target's maximum HP. Ooh, doesn't that feels a lot better once you have a little extra juice to hit him with. Well, Volibear's E already does maximum HP, but they can. It's having that extra maximum HP damage can hurt them faster, whittle them down more. It's just nicer. And then as for let me explain the starting items. So this is the same. So against ranged or very difficult matchups or poke matchups, I actually prefer Doran's Shield. It's a very healthy laning idea. I've actually been laning more carefully, like paying attention to where the jungler is, because I think that as long as you survive the laning phase, you can impact the map. Another, it's more important that you don't fall behind as a top laner, because once you fall a little bit behind, you're completely fucked. So unless if you're very confident and want to be aggressive into like maybe a tank matchup, I would not recommend going Dorn's Ring, which is has been the standard build for like the longest time. Like if you're facing a range matchup, you definitely don't want Dorn's Ring, I guess, because believe it or not, with Dorn's Shield, you're actually able to push against them while just like if you just E on top of yourself, Volibear's wave clear is faster. Anyway, let me show you one of the games I played. Alright, so Jin's not a great example, but like since he autos pretty slowly, but I was able to pretty much tank his autos while pushing the wave. So you're able to get a level advantage, and then because Doran's shield heals you more the lower you are, and combined with I guess second wind, and I actually didn't go revitalize that game, but I wish I did, but because revitalize would boost that Doran shield even more and the second wind, and if you did have these two runes come with Doran shield, you have a lot of sustain. You can pretty much stay in lane indefinitely while pushing and get lane priority. It's great against like even against Teemo or whatever zoning any fucking zoning auto bitch. Run that shit and you can push the wave still. And then same with the I guess Spell Trader's Long, which is I guess someone like Darius. Uh, well, against someone like Darius, the reasoning is a bit different. Uh, I actually don't want you to short trade against them because you won't be able to. You don't want grasp into them because of how do I put this? I guess like you're gonna be low a lot of the time, so last stand helps with the damage and press attacks short trading. You will probably do more damage press attack is still a short trading rune. I mean, but it does more damage than grasp in the short term. Like early game, I mean even later it's fine. But the thing with grasp is that it's very like sure it scales better because of all the extra HP you get, and combined with I guess shield bash and everything else, but it just it's not good into Darius or because you want to be able to have the damage, I guess, early to like contest them. And those types of champions, like they want a lead early, and so you don't want to give them any breathing room. And the grasp is a very weak into them, is what I mean. Because those types of champions usually run Conquer, and if you're trying to go for a grasp proc, you'll just take a lot of punishment to try and go for that grasp proc. Okay, anyway, into the rest of the build. I guess so 1, 2 is the first item and second item, and then 3, 4, 5 is up to you if you're feeling more side laney and they have like a resistance tank like Rammus or Malphite or whatever the heck. You can build Black Cleaver if you want, but if you wanna sustain more, you can go Spirit Visage against AP. If you want to sustain against AD, you can go. Yeah, it should be pretty self-explanatory. And then I guess the rare scenario is if they have like a Darius or an Aatrox, you can build Grievous Wounds third. Just sit on the Bramble Vest and just not upgrade it until very late game. Because upgrading another thing with upgrading Bramble Vest is that it's very. The thing is, like, Volibear isn't an armor champion. He doesn't benefit too much from like a full Thornmail as much as like a Rammus would. He'd probably benefit more from ability haste or other items, other tankier item choices. Because like Thornmail just reflects damage. Like, sure, it's nice, but surviving damage is probably more important for Volibear. Because the longer you survive, the more W's you can proc. So like an item like Frozen Heart, reducing 20% of their total attack speed is hella nice. Or like taking 30% less crit damage with Randuin's is also hella nice. Or like healing 25% more and shielding more is also hella nice. So you just don't want to upgrade Bramble usually. And then finally with I guess the other section of this top lane build is versus ranged. If you're facing, I guess, an ADC top laner, Vayne top lane, this is the build you want to go through. Reasoning for you probably want boots. Actually, you don't always have to go. It's kind of hard to say. Let me think. I don't play enough top lane to be like 100% sure. Because like sometimes you would want the boots to be able to catch them, right? But like, what if sometimes you want the extra, I guess, longsword to do more damage once you get on them? Hmm. Yeah. Okay. I think you still want to build first item boots just to catch them. I mean, Ionian boots is still a very good damage item because of the ability haste, and it'll also reduce your TP and flash cooldowns. So you'll have an easier laning experience, and you'll be able to match flashes more comfortably. And then the reasoning for, I guess, do I really have to explain Dead Man's Plate again? This is just shit's good. And then for third item, Steric's Gauge still. Reasoning is the AD damage. You want the damage, and the initial, I guess, that shield that keeps you alive longer, in case they have a friend or something that comes to uh, fight you. It also scales very well into later. The main reason is still the AD portion of that item, because you want to be able to kill them faster while you're in their face. I actually made a mistake when I was facing the Jin. This is the game that brought me to Grandmaster, but I itemized for Spirit Visage third, and that was the reason why this game dragged out so long. Because I didn't have the damage to actually kill the Tristana. I was in range. She was like 200 HP off, and I was at their I was literally at their nexus. If I killed her there, I would have ended the game or like created a lot of pressure. But I wasn't able to, and she was able to escape because I built Spirit Visage third. Like the I don't know why. It feels good to have more healing, sure, but like you want that Steric's damage as a third item. And then they also had a very AD oriented team. They were heavy AD with Jin, Kane, Tristana. Their their brand wasn't really a main focus if I was going to side lane as a top laner. So I actually wish that I built like this. I wish I built like a Negatron clip. I mean what's this item called again? I forgot. That the magic resist upgrade that costs 900 gold. Uh I wish I bought an oh it is Negatron cloak. Oh, this is no magic mantle. Okay. I wish I bought the Negatron cloak. Just set on the 900 gold for the 50 magic resist. And then just upgrade to Randuin's afterward. Cause I'm probably not gonna see the brand too often. Or maybe it's yeah. It's literally just for the team fight portion, the Negatron cloak. And then if they're and then conversely, if they're heavy AP, if you're facing a Teemo, you can build the Force of Nature, which grants you stacks, and then it will give you the movement speed to stick onto him even easier. Basically, I mean, it doesn't do damage like Dead Man's Plate does, but it's like basically the magic resist equivalent of it. The magic. They literally build out of the same winged moonplate thing. So if you want the magic resist portion, I guess equivalent of the Dead Man's Plate, that's reasoning for Force of Nature. And then it also is very gold effective too, with once it stacks up entirely against those types of champions, like that 70 magic extra 70 magic resist, and 10% move speed. And then you can just sustain using Sundered Sky and W while having that extra movement speed to stick onto them. And then same reasoning for Stair's Gauge, you just want the damage, and then in the scenario where they have an 80 carry, you can sit on the Warden's Mail or upgrade it to Randuin's later, depending on their comp, of course, right? If you're facing an AP top laner, you want to build this first, like still, and then, but later on in the game, if they have more armor, you can build more armor-oriented items. Same with this side. If they have more, if you're facing an AD top laner, but they have a lot of magic damage champions in their comp later, you can focus more and upgrade this into like a Kinetic Recurrent, and then just buy more magic resist items afterward, if that game even lasts that long. Usually, games will end by the time you have like a full 4 items anyway, so. And then, okay, moving on to the uh so you can actually copy these item sets that I created. So let me just make sure these are updated. Now that what I do here is export the set, copy to clipboard, and then you can paste it over here. And yep, for the jungle. So you just copy this, and then you go over to the client in the item sets, you put import item sets, paste copied set. Oh, paste copied set, and it creates it for you. And then you can look through my version of the guide. I mean items instead of league recommended items, because although they're good, they don't really account, I guess. It's really hard for them, I guess, to account for all the best items just because of there's just so many scenarios and there's so many changes all the time, so I don't really blame them. So I prefer to make my own item sets all the time. And if you like these item sets, you can try to import them yourself, or maybe just import them to try it out. And then moving on to measuring success. So this is a different portion. I guess this is more applicable to just jungling in general. Not really, like mastering a champion is one thing, and knowing what to build for the champions is one thing too. But it's like another thing to actually get good at the game as a whole. And so I guess for the longest time, I had a lot of I would always hit these walls and like struggle to, I guess, I was stuck at diamond for like a week, or like, and I was stuck in master for a very long time too. I forgot, maybe months. But so like I guess what I'm saying is don't play like a psycho, like off instinct entirely, like I did, because playing off instinct is very unstructured. Like it's very hard to know when you're doing something good or when you're doing something bad, when you're always doing something very unpredictable and variable. And in order to limit that and like actually be able to track your progress and like know what I guess go for more consistent plays is are these two main things that I mentioned earlier in the game plan. So this is like a general thing that I always remind myself at the start of the game. And then if you want more details, it's you click that and then you go here. So farm and get gold. So a good game of jungle is always measured. I mean, can be measured by how well you were able to farm and get gold. So, and these are just some tips for what you can do to get better at getting farm and gold, which is being efficient with your camp rotations and recalling. Like once you full clear once, you generally want to be at your first camp's respawn and clear it as soon as possible just to get the cycle going quickly and get more money, more XP. And then these are just very general tips looking for good ganking opportunities near camps you're clearing. Because like if you're going to the opposite side of your camps, it's very difficult for you to actually like if that gank doesn't work out near the opposite side of where you went to, then you're just not getting your camps cleared, and you're just not getting money or consistent money inflow. And then the other thing is going for plays that you're confident will work out most of the time. Like if when they're low or when they're pushed under their tower, when the enemy is pushed under their tower and they're very low, maybe you can go for a dive. But like if your teammates are pushed in and they're all like very low compared to the enemy that is like maybe full HP or very healthy, that gank is going to be very difficult just because of how low your teammates are and how healthy they are. Like chances are they'll probably be able to walk away back to their tower or you might even die trying to go for that gank. So just don't go for things that you aren't confident in. And then the other thing is trading opposite jungle camps if you're getting invaded. So sometimes there are scenarios where, like say, the enemy team invades your red buff, like and then you just start with like 3 less camps. The way to go avoid that is you want to go over to their red side while I don't know maybe all 5 other teammates are in your side of the are in your red side camps, and your team doesn't want to fight, which is fine. Sometimes fighting is actually bad. Like if their camps, I mean, if their champs are stronger level 1 champions, so you don't always want to contest. So what you want to do is like just scale and play safe and just trade opposite jungle camps. So if they go to your red side, you go to their red side and try to get money back and EXP from their side, while warning your teammates that they are in your bot camps. I think this term was called parallel jungling or something, but it doesn't matter. And that's basically what it is. And then the other thing is getting gold from the side of the map where your teammate is winning. So it's actually much easier to play around a winning teammate than a losing teammate. And so you can go like say your top laner is always pushing them in. You can maybe even look for an invade into that side of the jungle where your top laner is on their team. Like I guess a graph might, I mean a visual might be more helpful. Let me see if you guys can see this. Okay. Let me delete this. This is outdated. Or more like, it's always gonna. So I'm gonna change the item explanations here because I'm always gonna change the items. So retyping everything all the time and changing my mind is just pointless. So I'm just gonna put it in video. So okay, so for example, here if your top laner is winning, you can maybe even go here. They're always pushed in, right? They can easily come help you if and you can like try to steal their stuff over here and fight. And then in the meantime, like their top laner is like focused on catching like a wave. If there's a lot of minions here, they can't move over. So
30 seconds until minions
playing with your
spawn.
winning side means you can look to invade and take any camps, any objectives over here if they're winning. The same applies to bot lane. If your bot lane's always winning, you can look to invade here and get dragons. This is also why a lot of junglers like to path bot and just make sure their bot lane wins so that they can easily get like a souls,
Minions have
a
spawned.
dragon soul, and use that as a win condition to like stat check the rest of the enemy. Okay, so that's the get gold. Okay, and then here's the get shutdowns from fed enemy champions. So like in a scenario where you have like 3 losing lanes and you're completely fucked, and it's very hard for you to come back, you're kind of forced to, I guess, get shutdowns from the enemy. Like so you would hold tab there and look for who has like a gold bounty on them, and then you just maybe like look for an opportunity if they're pushing too deep and try to work with your teammates to kill them, because there's no other way for your team to come back otherwise. But this is a very rare scenario. Otherwise, you would just play very disciplined and just you don't want to play where your teammate is losing, because unless if like there's completely nothing you can do. This is like a very last resort. I should just last resort. Maybe I should make that more clear. And then the other thing is securing prio and objectives. This is what actually pushed me to Grandmaster, besides my itemization choices. This is so poking down the enemy and pushing out lanes before doing objectives. I actually explained this in my other video that because I didn't push out a lane, we threw Baron and we lost the game. Because the thing about pushing out lanes is that it would give you vision, and it would also give you more, I guess, you want to fight in your lane first, or like poke them down, if you're ahead, of course, before doing the objectives. I guess even if it's like an even game, or even if you're behind, you still want to not necessarily fight, but like look for like picks, I guess, in the mid lane, and make sure that minion wave is totally pushed out before doing an objective. Especially when everyone's alive. If their jungler's dead, or if the enemy team is missing like a lot of damage because their ADC is dead and they can't really do anything, then yeah, go ahead and start that Baron. But if not, in a general neutral standpoint, you want to be doing this, poking down the enemy and pushing out the lanes. And then this is more of a mid-game thing. If you're losing really badly, like say the enemy AD carry has a full item and your ADC only has one, maybe half an item, you don't want to contest objectives. You don't want to play on the side where your team is losing. And then you can instead secure something like Grubs or Rift Herald, or at least try to. And if they try to block you, if they instead give up on Drake and they move over to your map, maybe they'll be down a member, or maybe they'll. There's a lot of scenarios that are specific, but yeah, generally you just want to do the opposite objective when, especially on the side of the map where your team is losing. Yeah. So and then secure vision around objectives to brushes to blade. So I actually really like control wards around to look during the Baron phase. Like especially that bush near mid lane, because that bush allows you to, you want to push out it helps you push out the wave, and then you'll also be able to see them if they're coming by, and it also most importantly neutralizes their vision in that bush, so they don't know if you're there or not. So they have to play a bit more careful when walking near there. And then this is a top lane explanation for how do you explain that. How do you explain this? This is some more top lane stuff. Level up timers, and then Aloy's fundamentals. Uh, yeah, this is. I'm not gonna get too much into the top lane portion, just because of uh, like it's very scenario based. Like freezing, you don't always want to freeze, and then actually, like pushing generally means you're winning. So freezing is like a, or if you're very ahead and you want to deny them CS. But if you're behind, freezing is very bad, like just sad, I guess, because the enemy top laner is essentially able to harass you for free while you're trying to freeze. If they're ahead, you freezing is almost like a death sentence, because that also builds up a wave, and it makes it easier for the enemy to dive you. So some of the stuff is pretty outdated when I was Diamond too. But yeah, let me think about this. I think I want to delete this. This is just wrong, honestly, at this point. Like, always look for priority in your lane, I think. Or just play safe when you don't have priority. Let me think about the best tip I can say is make sure you catch your wave. Make sure you get your minion wave and money. Most importantly. Doing anything else is a risk. Like if you have a full wave to catch and you're fighting like what randomly, it's just, and then you die. You also lose all those minions and EXP. So definitely make sure not to play risky and get your minions. Then other things are, I guess for range matchups, sometimes you want to hug a bush to make sure they don't just hide in there and try to poke you out from it. You want to, but you can also just, I guess, or walk with your minions and try to push from there. Yep. Then another tip is honey fruits spawn in the river at 6 and 6:30. So after you push out your wave, you can get some more healing and sustain. And then here I explain some of the abilities, but that's fine. You don't really need to. Then skill order. Uh, Generally it's E1. Yeah, you're very general stuff. And then how to preserve your mental state. Oh, this is pretty good. Okay. So I actually probably pride myself in having a very good mental. Like I when I'm trying to focus on improving, right? I don't really blame other players too much. Like sometimes I might point out, oh, they did a bad play, but like ultimately, in my mind, I just wasn't good enough to carry the game, regardless of how badly my teammates were playing. So whenever I lose, it's more like, oh damn, I'm frustrated at myself, not at my team. Like I always direct the frustration toward myself to fuel improvement. But of course, sometimes that could be very difficult for your mental too. How do I put this? It's like uh, if you're having a tough time, just take a break. I guess if you're losing a lot of games, make sure you take a break. And if you hit a wall, take some time and to think about like maybe try something new. Like whenever you hit a wall, it's always like an indicator of like, oh, maybe I should try something new or learn something new. And that's always been what I've been doing. Whenever I was stuck low masters in top lane, oh, maybe I should try focusing more on jungle since some guy said that a lot of there's like no one trick top laner Volibears in in the NA or Korean or EU regions, and but there are one trick Volibears that made it to Challenger, so maybe Volibear's just better suited for jungling. So I decided to try jungling more, and it did work out for me. But jungling actually taught me little bit more about, I guess, matchups, and so like the whole itemization things with versing ranged or versing melees, these all scale very well. Like the other Volibear builds just were very snowball oriented, I guess. They don't really scale in terms of like max HP damage or like sustain versus or like counter builds. They're all like Iceborne or very tank oriented. But anyway, this is after I just started jungling more that I realized that there could be builds that I haven't really thought of. So taking a break from top lane actually made me a better top laner afterward. And I can say that because my my last game in top lane was what brought me to Grandmaster. I usually primary role jungle and then secondary role top. I'm not afraid to play top if when I do get it. And then okay, back to the mental thing. And then so there's a lot of toxicity in League, right? So like sometimes the toxicity gets to you, but just remember that you should always focus on what you're playing the game for, which is I think you should always have fun. You should always look to improve if you want. And well, these are what I'm here for. I'm here to have fun, improve, and LP horde because it's fun for me. I like to optimize my play style. I like to be the best possible player I can be, and that's what I'm here for. And I don't want to not have fun. I don't want people to ruin my experiences. So focusing on what you can control is what matters, and tilting won't make me a better player, and tilting is a distraction. And then if I ever catch myself tilting, I'll bring myself down by telling myself it's okay. Uh, this is actually my own coping mechanism. I just say it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay until until I feel okay, and then I just take a deep breath and go back, making sure to focus more on my gameplay than tilting. And then I don't actually discuss. I don't usually discuss anything. I don't think I've ever discussed anything with other players after a game ends. Like I always like, oh, one bad play went wrong. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. Like I already, I guess with experience, you can already tell like why something went wrong by just looking at maybe the items or what led the game to that point. So like, I guess there's no point in discussing with another player usually about a play or what something happened or about what happened after the game ends. And often they'll probably be very tilted too, like over a play. So there's really no point in in discussing. sometimes they'll just be tilted and they'll just rage at you. At least that's been my experience. And then don't stress too much over mistakes you've made. Just focus on what you like. Say you fail a gang. I failed gangs before. Just missed. I missed. I missed a flash over a wall. I was like, fuck. Just kept using the crying emote. But there's no point in focusing on what you already like. What's done is done. Just focus on what else you can do to win the game in the present. Just focus on what you can do. And then if people flame, just actually just play. Just you can slash deafen if you want. Don't let anyone's attitude ruin your fun and grind. And then another thing I wanted to talk about was rage typers. When they're telling you, "Oh, you should go die, jump off a cliff." "Oh, I hope I never see you again. You're low elo, piss low, you're trash." It's like what the, I don't even see the point. They're expressing their emotions very poorly, and I guess so. Humans are social animals, all right? So we generally want to cater to people and make them feel better and like try to communicate with them and like make peace because that's how I guess biologically things have been in like smaller communities. But the issue is that these people are people they don't deserve respect, I guess. They don't deserve you shouldn't respect these kinds of rage typers. You shouldn't respect the words that are coming out of their mouth. Like they aren't worth the stress. They're not invested in your improvement actually. They just want to get rid of their frustration by taking it out on you. So, just whenever you meet a rage typer, just don't even stress, man. And then I actually recommend playing on party chat. It's just less distractions, less typing. You see, you can communicate everything in pings anyway. You can communicate with pings. There's really no point to have chat if you want to be a better player. Like the rare circumstances, I rarely see the good luck, have fun. Well, maybe not rarely, but like maybe like for every 50% chance that there's like a very cool chill person like that says, "Oh, good luck, have fun," or like "Well played," or like "Damn, good job, top laner, good job," or like "Let's go" after they make a good play. That's in the other 50% of the time. There's like players that like, "Oh, damn, you should have done this. Oh, you suck." Or like, "Oh, damn, why didn't you hit that hook?" Or like just a bunch of complaints, right? And just that other 50% side of like complaining typing and rage typing just isn't worth it to me. So I just play in party chat now. And then in another scenario, if you have like an AFK or an enter, just FF and report. But at that point, I'd probably just be on autopilot. Just autopilot, man. It's okay. Like I wouldn't really try winning too much. I wouldn't like be thinking through like all the scenarios of oh what should I do to be winning. I would just literally clear my camps because if I have a Karthus, I actually had a Karthus in Master, Ghost Cleanse, just running it down mid repeatedly, stealing CS, standing in place in bot lane, just just autopilot. Just go next. It's okay. It's very hard to win when you don't have a teammate that's trying. And then, yeah, listen to music, stretch and relax. That helps. Take your breaks. Take your breaks. And then here's a history of all the changes I've ever made. Oh, maybe I should update this. Do do do. Top of jungle builds. Updated. Grandmaster, woo! Okay. And think that's about it for this video. Um, I think I'll make another video discussing league toxicity later, just because it's a very nice, interesting topic, and I have ideas I want to talk about it. But that's for next time. And this time around, I think I'm gonna sign off here. Good luck on your games, guys, and hope Volibear works out for you. Peace.